Chapter 11 of Skinnybones by Barbara Park is called Wake Me When I'm Grown. I'd been in my room for about an hour when I heard my parents come home from the game. I had pushed my dresser over in front of the door so that no one could get in. I wasn't sure exactly what my dad was going to do when he got home, but I was positive there would be a lecture involved. And I already knew what he'd say. He'd start off by telling me that running away from a problem never solves anything. Then he'd say it was high time I stopped trying to make fun of everything I'm no good at. Not everything in life is a big joke, he would say. Then he'd end by telling me that no matter what I do in life, I should always give 110%. After that, he'd stare at me a while, like he was trying to figure out what had gone wrong in my upbringing. Then, finally, he'd ask me if I understood what he was trying to say. Yes, I'd answer. You're trying to say I've embarrassed the family again. That's when my father would shake his head and leave the room. On his way out, he'd mutter, I might as well be talking to a brick wall. I was still going over this pretend conversation in my mind when I heard the back door open. Within seconds, Dad's footsteps were pounding down the hall. My heart began to race. Knock, knock, knock. Who is it? I asked nervously. You know who it is, Alex. It's Dad. I want to have a little talk with you. I tried to stall. Who did you say it was again? Tad? I don't know any Tad. Dad. Brad? He pounded. Open the door, Alex. Now. No, Dad, please. I already know what you want. You want to talk to me about what happened today. Only it won't do any good. Talking isn't going to change anything. I blew it. I made a fool of myself and I ran out on my team. So if it's all the same to you, I'm just going to live right here in my room for the rest of my life. That way I won't ever bring shame on our family again. So if you could just shove a bologna sandwich under the door every day or so, I'd appreciate it. I paused a minute. Well, okay. I guess that's it. It's been nice having you for a father, Father. I'm grateful for all you've tried to do for me, and I'm sorry I've been such a big disappointment. I heaved a pathetic sigh. On the other side of the door, there was nothing but silence. Finally, I heard the sound of Dad's footsteps as he walked away. I was sure he was on his way to tell my mother how miserable I sounded. Then the two of them would put their heads together and try to think up a way to get me to come out of my room. A few minutes later, he was back. I felt warm all over. Now that's a loving father, I thought. That's a father who isn't giving up on his kid. Pretty soon, I heard a rustling noise under my dresser. I got down on my stomach and looked. It was a bologna sandwich in a plastic bag, being squeezed underneath the little space at the bottom of my door. I grabbed it and threw it in my trash can. Parents, just when you think you've got them figured out, they go and pull a lame stunt like that. The next day was Sunday. Except for a few minutes while Mom and Dad were at church, I didn't come out of my room all day long. It was awful being stuck in there. And what made it even worse was that my parents didn't seem bothered by it at all. They were going around the house laughing and talking like they didn't even have a son, like they'd never even heard of me before. The other thing I hated was how totally bored I was. Most of the time I just lay on my bed. There were a zillion things I could have done to amuse myself, but I couldn't risk it. If Mom decided to peek through my bedroom window to check on me, it couldn't look like I was having a good time. By dinner time, I wanted to come out of there so bad I couldn't stand it. I was starving, I tell you. I had hardly eaten a thing all day. While my parents were at church, I had snuck a few snacks and a couple of apples, but it wasn't nearly enough to keep a growing boy alive. All I had left were 2 pretzels and 1 broken graham cracker. I tried putting the pretzels between the graham cracker pieces to make a sandwich, but it didn't look that appetizing. Also, I hate to mention this, but starvation wasn't my only option. Starvation wasn't my only problem. I also needed to pay a little visit to the bathroom. I did everything I could to put it off. I jumped up and down and crossed my legs and danced around till I couldn't stand it. But all of a sudden, it was get out of my way 'cause I'm coming through. I shoved the dresser out of the way and streaked to the bathroom. On the way back to my room, I heard Mom and Dad sitting down to eat. I could smell the delicious aroma of dinner all the way down the hall. Was that fried chicken? And what else? Mashed potatoes, maybe? My stomach growled loudly. How long can a person go without food before he passed out, I wondered. Maybe if I just got a little peek at it, I would feel better. Quietly, I tiptoed down the hall. I stopped at the kitchen door and got down on my hands and knees. Then slowly, I looked around the corner. Yep, just as I thought. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and, Oh my gosh, was that corn on the cob? My mouth watered so much that I drooled on the floor. Unfortunately, my parents chose that exact moment to look over. I grinned sheepishly and wiped up the drool spot with my t-shirt. They turned back around like they hadn't even noticed me. Oh, no, you don't. You can't look directly at a person and then pretend you don't see them. That's just dumb, I said. My father shrugged. You're the one who wanted to stay locked up for the rest of your life, Alex, he said. You're the one who didn't want to be bothered. Mom and I are only trying to respect your wishes. I stared at all that corn on the cob. Yeah, well, there's been a change in my wishes, I said quietly. My wishes now include a chicken dinner from time to time. My father shrugged again. Help yourself. I hurried to the table and picked up my fork. My mother glanced over at me. Chicken, she said. Jeez, what was wrong with her anyway? Couldn't she give it a rest? I'm not a chicken mother. I ran off the Little League field because I'd already blown it, and I didn't know what else to do. But that doesn't mean I'm a chicken. Mom stared at me for quite a while. Finally, she turned to Dad and pointed at the food. Chicken, she said. After he had taken a piece, she turned back to me again. Shall we try this one more time, Alex? Chicken? This time, I stuck my fork into a chicken breast and put it on my plate. I managed to mumble, thank you, but that was the last thing I said during the entire meal. After I ate, I went back to my room and fed my graham cracker and pretzel sandwich to my fish. Then I took a shower and went straight to bed. Tomorrow, I would have to face the whole school, and something told me it was going to take every bit of strength I had. And that was chapter 11.